It's almost 4 a.m. Checking to see who's up. I'll wait. Okay, I'm gonna call this series You Up, like a You Up text. Okay, today it was announced that Travis Hunter was seemingly snubbed from becoming a finalist of consideration for an award bestowed upon the best defensive backs in college football. That is the Jim Thorpe Award. And I checked, Travis has he's now a finalist in almost every award that's out there in terms of wide receiver, defensive player of the year, etc. Right? So let's see. Travis Hunter has been named a finalist for the Maxwell Award. That's for best all around player. That means he checks off all of the boxes all the way around. The Bolitnikoff Award. That is the best wide receiver. And we know Travis is the best wide receiver. Go watch Utah versus Colorado. If you happen to see it, drop me some comments and Buffalo up the chat. Buffalo the chat. That's right, Buffs. And then that's best defensive player, right? So keep that in mind. Then we have the Hornan Award. That is bestowed upon the most versatile player. Now we know Travis plays on offense and defense most snaps of the game at a high level, and he's an impact player. He is one of the reasons they now have been granted a bowl game, and I can't wait to find out what bowl game Colorado is going to. And then we have the Walter Camp Award. That's for most outstanding player. So you heard me say that Travis Hunter is a finalist for the Bolitnikoff Award, which is best wide receiver, and Travis is a two-way player, plays offense and defense. So where's the award for best defensive player if he's a finalist for best all-around player and best defensive player? How can you be best defensive player, best all-around player, and not be the best defensive back? So, the best defensive back has an award bestowed upon them called the Jim Thorpe Award. Now, I asked myself, I said, how do you check off all the boxes, but you don't get like nominated as a finalist or selected as a finalist for this award? So I said, okay, let me look into it. So first I had to look, who is Jim Thorpe? And turns out Jim Thorpe was a Native American. He was an athlete, a multi-sport athlete, and some consider him to be the greatest athlete of the 20th century. Now, Jim Thorpe was born around 1877, 1888 on an Indian reservation known as Sac Fox Nation in what we now call Oklahoma. Now, if you're familiar with Oklahoma's history, you know that Oklahoma is Native American land, and it was initially called Sequoia. And then once people came in on their horses and wanted to colonize, they herded the Native Americans and indigenous people up, and the ones that were not unalived were, how should I say, herded into one section of their land, like near the top. And then the name was changed to Oklahoma from Sequoia. And after the name was changed and the land was stolen and taken from them, they tried to fight through the court system here. The court system changed the rules so that the Native Americans could not fight back to get their land back, which was Sequoia, that we now call Oklahoma. So why is Oklahoma relevant to this? Aside from the fact that Jim Thorpe was born on a Native American reservation, his tribal ancestry, tribal is Sac Fox Nation. Hi, from that, Jim Thorpe was touted as being one of the best athletes of the 20th century because he had Native American blood running through his veins. Now, he also was, in addition to a stellar multi-sport athlete, he was an Olympian. He won Olympic, I think 2 Olympic gold medals. He went on to get married. He played sports well until he was age 41. And he had, I think, 7 children, right? But unfortunately, I think when he stopped playing sports around his age of 41, it was near the Great Depression in the U.S., which was around 1929. And he died in 1953. And unfortunately, he died in poverty. So, aside the fact that he was a Native American, went on to be one of the greatest athletes of the 20th century, after his death, there was controversy that ensued for a long time. And in 2015, there was a case that went all the way to the Supreme Court that took place over 5 years regarding the burial of Jim Thorpe. And I said to myself, I said, okay, what happened after he died? And apparently, the night before his Native American burial with his ancestral tribe, which is Sac Fox Nation, his third wife, his late third wife, came and claimed his body, and she took it to it was auctioned off. His remains were auctioned off to a town, and one of the stipulations was that there were 2 towns in Pennsylvania. They had to combine as one and be named Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. So I told you he died in 1953. The court cases took place in 2015 was the final result. So we have to go back to like 2010. So by then, Jim Thorpe, he had 2 elderly sons that joined the fight, the lawsuit, along with the Native American tribe that Jim Thorpe was born into. The Sac Fox Nation tribe sued these towns that had different names until they combined, like Jim Thorpe Borough, to combine to be called Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. And it went all the way to the Supreme Court, and actually the first justice that decided on the case decided that Jim Thorpe's remains should go back to his ancestral tribe, Sac Fox Nation. But then the appeals court said no. And there's something called the Native American Grave Site Protection Act, or Grave Protection Act. And that's to make sure that there's no more devastation toward the Native Americans. And the Native American tribe was actually using the Graves Protection Act to have Jim Thorpe's body and remains relocated to Oklahoma, which used to be Sequoia, to Sac Nation burial grounds to honor their Native American burial customs. So the lawsuit by the tribe, his ancestral tribe, the reasoning for the suit was because Jim Thorpe's burial in Pennsylvania violated Native American customs. Now, you already heard me say that Jim Thorpe was praised as a stellar athlete, and the admiration and that talent was thought to be because he had Native American blood running through his veins, which made him such a great athlete. But then when he died, even though there was a protection in place for the graves of Native Americans, the Supreme Court ruled against the Native American tribe to say that the Protection Act should not be wielded like a sword to solve family disputes. So essentially, the appeals court justice said that it's a family dispute. And the fact that he had a third wife who claimed his body, then that kind of negated the Native American ancestral tribe, tribal burial, etc., because the wife has last say. So what it seems to be with the Jim Thorpe Award and Jim Thorpe's, not his legacy. His legacy is stellar, even though they stripped his medals from him. It's documented that the Olympic Committee took his medals away because they said he played some games in the summer and he shouldn't have. And other people did it, but they used an alias. He used his real name, etc. But he's still heralded as an Olympic athlete, a gold medalist. He's in the NFL Hall of Fame, and he was like the first president of like the American Football League Association, and then in 1921 that association became the NFL. So he was an executive before the NFL came on board, and unfortunately, he died in poverty. But that's not really the issue. It seems that his burial, the fact that his ancestral tribe says that it's going against Native American customs, it seems that his burial is just, it's not complete. It doesn't seem complete. And it seems that that might be one of the reasons why it's a good thing for Travis to sit this particular nomination out, you know. Hey y'all, welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome. I'm reading y'all's chats. It's okay, that's a different language that I might not understand. Is the E in BB silent? I don't know. It could be. It says every live. I what? See the every live Uncle Ruckus. I don't know. So what are y'all doing up this late? This is the what is it? This is the You Up segment. You up? What part of the country are you in? Rep your country, rep your state. Where are y'all? Okay, so I'm gonna go back to my conversation. Since y'all playing in my chat. So that's one of the reasons why I think Travis should maybe just not worry about this, because I do not think it's a coincidence that Travis is now a finalist in all of the top awards, but the one that's decided upon by like the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame, and then Jim Thorpe being Native American and the history of the Native Americans with Oklahoma, and then his burial seems to be incomplete, due to the violation of Native American burial customs or Native American customs. You just don't want to start going against people's customs, because when we talking about may he rest in peace, we want him to rest in peace. And it doesn't seem like that situation with a 5-year lawsuit, and the Native Americans still saying that yes, we stand by it, that's a violation of Native American customs, and that not being honored by the Supreme Court, and along with the Grave Protection Act for Native Americans, it seems like that's something that we should just sit this one out. So what do you all think? This is something that if people have the knowledge to understand not Jim Thorpe's legacy, but the controversy behind his death as a Native American and the history of Oklahoma and Native American land, etc., it seems that people would maybe understand why this is one that just let it be what it is, and let's be happy and focus on what we have and what we can get, because Coach Prime said it best when all of the talking heads and pundits were saying that Coach Prime should go to Dallas. Of course he said he's happy where he is, but he put out in his motivational post, he said, I think it was later that day, he said, yes, you might be qualified and you could get the job done, something to that fact, but have you considered Have you considered that God closed that door because he wants better for you? And that ain't. In other words, that's not what's best for Travis. It's not a coincidence that Travis was left out of the finalists for the Jim Thorpe Award. I think there's Jim Thorpe's legacy is stellar, but it seems that his ancestral ties, his burial, it just seems to be incomplete. And, you know, no one wants to violate burial customs of the Native Americans or anyone else. And it seems that they haven't gotten that piece. So that's it. All right. So I guess, you know, I'm checking in to see, are y'all going to buff up the chat, put the buffalo in the chat for the Colorado Buffaloes? Or you going to rep where you're from? That's right. You don't rep where you're from? Okay, I'm going to stay on here a few more minutes with y'all so you can see what you're going to say. Let's see. All right. It says, you have a... What? Is the E in Bay silent? Okay. It could be. It might be. It might be. Okay, y'all. So I'm going to say good night. Let me know your thoughts on what you think about... Yeah, let's sit this one out given the controversy regarding the violation of Native American customs with Jim Thorpe's burial. You know, how y'all feel about that? Does it make more sense that maybe Travis being excluded from the list is more protection and that, you know, he deserves better? Because we know Travis is the best defensive back in college football. We don't need Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame to tell us that, right? So maybe this is the one. We sit this one out. Okay, peace. That's it for me. Good night.